I see people who are moved by looking at the sky, the stars, the moon. I am moved when I go to the workshops and see boys who work. For me, it is an ecstasy, an ecstasy. Think about the future of these children who one day can start a family and maintain their children without the worry of thinking, what do we eat now? What are we going to eat? It is a great joy for me. It was the civil war in Sudan that in 1992 pushed thousands of people to flee to the north of Kenya and give rise to what is now a town and a home for many. So Kakuma was born in the desert on the border between Sudan, Uganda and Ethiopia to welcome refugees fleeing from wars, civil and religious persecutions and the continent's famines. Sudan and Somalia mainly, then South Sudan, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Ethiopia, Eritrea and Democratic Republic of the Congo. With its nearly 200,000 inhabitants, Kakuma is among the largest refugee camps in the world, the first being Dadaab, also in Kenya. Then sadly others were born in Africa and the Middle East. Kakuma is a shanty town threatened by the heat, sandstorms, floods in the rainy season, lack of water and services, and is mainly managed by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees and the International Red Cross. The Salesians arrived in Kakuma as early as 1993 and are currently the only ones, from the year 2000 to be precise, to be allowed to live permanently in the camp alongside people trying to share the difficulties and to help them build opportunities for growth. Life here flows very slowly. People live in an endless condition of waiting in which it is difficult to build, plan and dream. This is how some lose their sense of existence and take their own lives. The Salesians try to respond to the emptiness that often reigns in the hearts of many refugees by giving them hope through recreational, educational and vocational training. Especially for the many young people. 50% of the population are between 15 and 35 years old. One can spend many years in the camp, but that infinite time can be used constructively. One can learn to read and write, to count, and above all, one can learn a useful trade for when one leaves the camp or during their stay, because Kakuma, in fact, is a true and proper city. My name is Jedani Manaste Nyonkoro. I am Congolese. I belong to the Banyamulenge tribe. Jedani lost track of his family in October 2009 following a tribal attack in his village.
Nilipokuwa katika shughuli ya mashamba nikiwa ninafanya shughuli za kilimo.
While I was working in the fields, a man from the Bembe tribe came and told me that in the Karunja village, the Mai Mai guerrillas had attacked and killed all the people belonging to the Banyamulenge tribe.
So, unaweza kwa kweli ukafanya mbio uende kama uko na ndugu yako.
He told me to run to the village if I had relatives, because they had killed all the people. While he was giving me this information, I felt confused because my brother lived there and also my wife and my children.
Nikarudi haraka katika kijiji kile nikitoka mashambani. Nilifika kwa nyumba ya mkubwa wangu.
At that instant, I decided to rush to the village. Once I arrived, I went straight to my brother's house and saw that he and his wife had been killed. It had happened the night before. Then I went to the children's room, dripping with blood. All his children had been massacred. The story of Myros is similar to many others, but thanks to the support of the Salesians, he is finding the strength to try and dream. Yes, because seen from an immense refugee camp, a life with new opportunities does not seem to exist.
I was living with my father. I have no my mother was, and the other brothers are not there, because in a family of my family we are 8 of us. So for us we are blessed, whereby we are 4 boys, and we are supposed to be 5, but one has passed away. 4 boys. Now we are many 4 boys and 4 girls. From there now, my mother was not there. We are left with my father. Now my father is looking after them, also going for the arm and the other things.
Mpaka kwenye nyumba ambayo ilikuwa ni ya
My brother's house was on the opposite side of mine. When I arrived at my house to understand how my wife and children were, I realized that they were not there. While going there, I saw that there were some canoes carrying people who had survived the massacre. Later, I too went up one of the canoes and was brought to Tanzania. It is here that Jandani begins the desperate search for his family. In Tanzania, the refugee camps were too crowded and no longer welcomed anyone, so Jandani was advised to move to Kenya. On arriving in Kakuma, Jandani starts working as a taxi driver, but with an unusual means: a bicycle. In 2012, in a totally unexpected way and with infinite joy, Jandani, while accompanying a client from the opposite side of the camp, meets his firstborn son, and right after, his wife and the other 4 children. Myros is 29 years old. He always lived with his paternal uncle and grazed goats. Myros was a fragile child with poor health. Only when the father returned briefly from the war could Myros receive treatment and recover from the illness that had accompanied him for years. Myros arrived in Kakuma in 2006 and gratefully remembers the meeting with the Salesians.
I did not have somebody to support me, but when I found myself with Salesians, it really helped me to involve myself, and it helped me a lot to interact and to get to know many people within the Salesian Don Bosco. Because before even becoming employed in Don Bosco, I'm already familiar to almost every teacher that is within Don Bosco family. It is really something that has improved me as personally. What I'm missing really here is my parents. I really miss my parents. Being in Don Bosco, even if I live with different people, because it is not hard for me, because I have already Don Bosco helped me to socialize with the other people.
After studying a lot, Myros now works as an English teacher, but dreams of returning home.
My idea of home is at least to go back and stay with my family. That is my idea. No, I cannot feel at home because here the camp is insecurity. It is not that safe. Though we are under refugees, but here there are people who are attacked, especially when it comes at night, maybe some.
Formation, school, opportunities. Every year, the Salesians and their collaborators form about 4,100 students. Despite international aid, food is not enough, and moreover, one must somehow manage to work. To do so, one needs to know a trade and at least the English language or Swahili to communicate in an international environment. The students are boys, girls, men and women aged 18 to 35 years. Some come with their children. Mothers even with newborns. Others like Barnabas are ex-child soldiers.
In my place, I was staying in Nuba Mountain, and I was posted as soldiers. I have taken to the field to be trained for 1 week and a half, so that to be taken to the war for the fighting. Then after that, I went for the war, 2002, the last final war. It is the time I lost my hand and also my eyes.
And we have 4 centers in the camp itself, and now we are working on another center in town to make education easily accessible to the host community, because so far they were coming into the camp and it is not easy for them to reach. Therefore, for the host community and for the refugees together, we are thinking of putting up the center in town now. So that will be our 5th center. We see that it is also an income earning activity for them here in the camp. Otherwise, they would be just sitting idle, having nothing to do at home, because in the camp the situation is that the people are unemployed. They have no way of finding a job or to find a way of earning their living, and therefore those who get a chance to learn like this, they learn, they look for job. Some of them get jobs here itself with many agencies that are working here for the construction of the camp houses. Of course, not all are employed. Some of them go back to their own countries of origin. They find work there.
In this context, often full of despair, Christian hope is grafted, sprouts. Never imposed, the evangelization of Salesians is proposed with personal testimony. One evangelizes by sharing with the refugees the same difficulties of life, but with the hope of those who have Christ in their hearts. And it is evangelized by showing a different lifestyle, trusting and industrious, even in poverty. By proposing to all, but above all to the young, specific educational and formative activities through the pastoral care of the parish of the camp, which is especially animated on Sunday for Holy Mass.
I attended my baptism in Sudan. Then when I came here now, this is where in 2007 I joined to become now for the confirmation. I started my class running in 2007. Then in 2008, this is where I got confirmed fully as a Christian at the parish. And it was my wish that one day I also wish to become one of the Salesian of Don Bosco.
The work we do here for the youth, one of them is in the school here. Many of them come to school, they learn technical skills, and also the important one is the youth center. We meet them in the youth center where they come from different countries, they join together, they have different activities together. We teach them morals. We have games, different games, especially football, volleyball, and also basketball. After the games, we meet them for 10-15 minutes, where we teach them and give them a good night, which carries them for the next day.
Ndoto yenye niko nayo kwa kweli ni elimu. Mimi nimebakia mimi kama mimi na
My dream is that my children go to school. That's why I asked the priest to help me buy a blackboard. Look inside. He has accepted and will deduct the cost from my salary bit by bit. One of my children has a scholarship. I prayed to God for this and I thank Him. God has done a miracle. She managed to get in and the expenses established. She was taken in the school of Angelina Jolie, where there is also the boarding school.
You know, here in Kakuma, there's a lot of challenges. People sometimes, if they come, they steal everything, and they might be others they can be killed. For me, what I can tell you, I don't feel comfortable. Like now, I'm studying very hard to make my dream to be very good. But the way I'm struggling, and my health is not that good because I have the headache problem, like that one. But I'm trying my best to make my parents, even to change their life to be good, and they can feel proud that we have a child that who can struggle and make everything to be very nice for us.
For a girl, life in the refugee camp can be terrible, and it is difficult to persevere even when receiving a grant through international aid. But here you soon learn that no one can do things for you, and you have to fight your little or big battles.
And even now we are going to school on Wednesday. They are now thinking, where can we get the shopping for the child? We don't have any money, even 1 shilling that I can buy a pen or a book, we don't have. That's why sometimes I'm having some stress, because I am a human being and I have to think in future what I can do.
Life in the camp is difficult and even dangerous because many tribal grudges continue far from the Congo. I live here, the years pass, but life is not easy. Here, we live in community. The Banyamulenge are few. Throughout the community, we are only 2 Banyamulenge, and the security conditions are not good. A neighbour belonging to the same tribe was nearly beaten to death in a nocturnal attack by strangers. Jandani has repeatedly denounced such acts to the camp police. Jandani today is no longer a boda taxi driver with a bicycle, but works as a watchman for the Salesians, and with his wife tries to help the children to have at least a few more opportunities than those he had. But Kakuma remains a refugee camp, immense and immersed in the desert between North Kenya and South Sudan. It is developing almost as an independent city, but without the presence of humanitarian aid and especially of educational interventions and vocational training, such as the Salesians, it would be a huge prison without hope of human redemption. In Kakuma, one tries to survive, and as far as possible, or weird that it may seem in a non-place in the middle of the desert, one tries to plan a future for when our country will be safe and we can go back. The waters of the river Gilo which has its bed next to the refugee camp of Kakuma, well represents the outlook on the life that people have here. The hope and the desire for life do not abandon anyone. Instead, they even periodically appear impetuous and reckless in the heart of adults, boys and children, providing a real reason for courage. Water is a source of life, of joy, of meeting and of play. The desire for a better future pushes one to study, to perhaps learn a trade, and to help each other by sharing what one has.